In this clip, I will talk you through how to paint a Christmas tree in watercolour. I will detail the resources and techniques that I use to paint the Christmas tree and give you some tips to show you how to make painting a Christmas tree easy.
Oh, Christmas tree, the leaves are so unchanging.
Before we talk about all of the resources used, I just want to let you know that there are links to all of the products used in the description below. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the Florence watercolour paper. The reason I'm going to use this is firstly, it's a really good affordable brand. Usually I use Arches, but this is a brand that I spoke about in a product review of all watercolour papers, which you can find on my channel, and also it's reasonably priced at $4.49 and is already cut to A5, so that's why I use that brand. The second thing I'm going to talk about is the silver black velvet paintbrushes. The reason I'm using these is they're very good for the larger and smaller sizes and they hold a lot of water, and they'll be very good for the sky area. The third thing I'm going to talk about is the nail detail brushes. A lot of people will spend a lot of money on detail brushes, zeros and ones. Why would you when you can buy these at a really affordable price? Now I'm going to move on to talk about gouache. This is a specialist paint, but because white watercolour is not very opaque, this is great for the snow techniques. This material here is called masking fluid. I'm going to use this at the beginning of the process because it will mask off areas, say for example the snow and the star. I'll obviously be using masking fluid for the edge of the painting. This is Winsor & Newton watercolour Cotman half-pound set. This is a really good quality watercolour set, and if you don't have this you can buy it in smaller sets, even a 12 set, which is great for travelling. And this is my Faber-Castell pencil. So I'm going to talk about the first stage while mixing up the paints. The first stage of this painting I have used masking fluid, so you can see where I've masked off the baubles and the snow and the star of the Christmas tree. I am now applying a watery mix of Prussian blue and indigo from the Winsor & Newton Cotman set. If you are using a different set, then obviously those colours are available in most of the sets. And I'm starting by adding a watery mix to the top area of the painting, and then what I do is I add a darker mix by applying less water to the paint, and I'm doing that around the edge of the background so that there is a glow around the Christmas tree. And then I will allow that to sink in before adding some stalks with my nail brush, and then I will add some details to those to give the effect of trees, and then I will allow that to dry before applying a second layer. I'm also going to add a watery mix around the base of the tree to give the effect of a shadow, and I will go in with another darker mix directly around the base. So now the first layer has dried, I'm going to add a second layer to the trees in the background to give it some depth, and then I will allow them to dry. I've added a little bit less water to ensure that they give the image some depth. So now I'm going in with concentrated colours around all of the baubles. I'm doing this by adding a minimal amount of water, again with the nail brush, because I want to add detail, and obviously in those baubles I have the masking fluid, so I'm just going around the edge and then I will rub that off later. And what I will do later is I will blend them out with the water to make them more diluted in the centre. I've made a mix of Hooker's green with the indigo to make it a bit darker, because the Hooker's green was a bit too bright for the effect that I was trying to give. And then what I will do is, after the green tones have soaked into the watercolour paper, I will go over it again to make out some darker tones and some mid-tones. So now I'm going to use some gouache watered down with a little bit of water to add some details to the trees in the forest in the background. So I'm just going to add some effects of some branches with snow on the top of them. So now I'm going to remove the masking fluid, and I do this with a piece of paper towel. You can do this with your finger, but I just prefer to have the friction of the paper towel. I find it much easier. So now I'm going to add yellow to the star and blend that out, and then what I will do is go down all of the baubles and add water to them to gradually blend them, and I will create the effect of light hitting the baubles. Some of them are fairy lights, so the yellow ones are fairy lights, and some of them are baubles. I want to try and create the effect of light hitting them or resonating from them. That's why they've got a bit of a glow around them and they're not completely rounded. You can, however, add as much or as little colour to them, and you can obviously use your preferred colour to these baubles. So I'm now going to use the same watered down mix of Prussian blue and indigo for details and tones on the snow that has fallen on the Christmas tree. And before I take off the tape, I'm going to add some watered down gouache and splash that on the picture to give the effect of snowfall. I don't want to add too much, I just want to add enough to cover the tree and to cover the background to create some contrast, and then I will take the tape off to reveal the finished painting. got value from today's content, then don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more content. If you would like to improve your watercolour skills and take them to the next level, then why not look at the playlist above. If you would like to see more Christmas craft and activities, then hit the playlist below.